I'm Russ Belville. Judge nixes medical marijuana users' right to grow their own from azstarnet.com. Medicinal marijuana users have no constitutional right to grow their own drug, a trial judge has ruled. Judge Catherine Cooper of Maricopa County Superior Court threw out a challenge by two men to a provision in the 2010 voter-approved Arizona Medical Marijuana Act that says only those living farther than 25 miles from a state-regulated dispensary can cultivate the plants. She said there is no basis for their claim that the provision limits their health care rights. But Cooper left the door open for the men to raise a separate challenge that the 25-mile rule amounts to a violation of their rights under constitutional provisions guaranteeing everyone equal protection of the law. She said, though, they have yet to make a case for that claim. They cited provisions of a 2012 constitutional amendment that says individuals cannot be forced to participate in any healthcare system. Judge Cooper disagreed, saying, quote, "Dispensaries are not a healthcare system," end quote. She said they do not manage, process, enroll, or pay for healthcare services for qualifying patients. Legal battle brewing over medical marijuana in Florida, from bizjournals.com. To supporters, the wording of a proposed constitutional amendment to legalize medical marijuana is clear. But to Attorney General Pam Bondi in Florida and Republican legislative leaders and some politically powerful opponents, the proposal isn't clear enough and should not be allowed on the November 2014 ballot. Bondi's office said in a brief Friday, quote, "The proposal hides the fact that the amendment would make Florida one of the most lenient medical marijuana states, allowing use for limitless other conditions specified by any physician," end quote. The full text of the proposed amendment defines a debilitating medical condition by specifying diseases such as cancer, Crohn's disease, Parkinson's disease, and multiple sclerosis, and also includes, quote, "other conditions for which a physician believes that the medicinal use of marijuana would likely outweigh the potential health risks for a patient," end quote. Police. Marijuana trafficking in Idaho triples in 5 years, from KTVB.com. Idaho State Police say they're seeing a lot more marijuana traffic through the state than they used to. Said Lieutenant Brad Doty, quote, "Over the last 5 years, we've tripled the amount of drug seizures in regards to marijuana," end quote. Why the increase? Doty says it has nothing to do with anything that's changed in Idaho, rather within the nearby states. Quote, "As those states that surround us lessen their marijuana laws, our drug seizures have increased," end quote. Doty says traffickers often take marijuana from those legal grow sites in those other states and bring it into and through Idaho to the Midwest to sell it. Since it's illegal here, there's higher demand and bigger profits, which is why Doty also believes this trafficking trend will only continue. Massachusetts hospitals weigh medical marijuana liability risk, from commonhealth.wbur.org. As Massachusetts lays the groundwork for medicinal marijuana, new clashes between state law and a continuing federal ban on marijuana use are emerging. Hospitals, hospice care organizations, and nursing homes are weighing the balance of serving their patients and protecting billions of dollars in federal funding. Here's the dilemma. Toward the end of long forms that authorize federal payments to hospitals, an executive has to certify that, yes, the hospital is in compliance with federal law. But that statement would not be true if patients at the hospital are using marijuana for medical purposes and a doctor at that hospital is helping them. Parents demand medical marijuana for kids with relentless seizures, from PennLive.com. Kathy Taylor never expected at age 66 to be fighting for her grandson's right to marijuana. Taylor, a retired lawyer, is among a contingent of Harrisburg area patients pushing for Pennsylvania to legalize marijuana for medical use. Many have children with severe seizure disorders. Many of them reached that conclusion after a recent report by CNN medical correspondent Dr. Sanjay Gupta called Weed. It focused on a Colorado child who was having hundreds of seizures per week. But Governor Tom Corbett is on record as opposing medical marijuana and saying he would veto a bill. And the Senate version is in a committee controlled by State Senator Pat Vance, a Republican, who said, quote, "The bill is definitely not coming out of my committee," end quote. This has been your 420 Radio News for Thursday, November 14th, 2013. I'm Russ Belville. When we come back, we go behind the headlines on the conviction of former Dallas Cowboys wide receiver Sam Hurd for marijuana trafficking, and whether or not marijuana may be the secret to success in the NFL. You're listening to The Russ Belville Show on 420radio.org. We'll be right back.
When you are starting up a medical cannabis business, you don't just want any attorney. You want a fired-up lawyer who understands the needs of cannabis consumers. The Law Office of Lauren Vasquez is your